So hello, Josie. Welcome to Cape.
Hi. It's so nice to see you both.
You too. I thought we would just chat a bit about the joy of lockdown. How's it been?
Well, I feel like lockdown has been a real adventure in eating a lot of sweet goods for me. It's been really like leaning into it, and just saying to myself, this is how to look after ourselves. And I remember there was a time in the first lockdown where we were very rigid about when we were able to go shopping, if at all, because obviously. But I remember like the shopping trip. If you were the one going on the shopping trip, it was like basically you were going to bring back a painful amount of sweet goods at the end. Like, and that was like the haul from the hunt. Like I've brought 5 dime bars and 2 chocolate raisins and a packet of this. And so it's good to be talking about cake because I hope that people are able to relax about eating delicious things and treating themselves in hard times. I feel like it's important to build up a store of sweet things.
Well,
I feel like the first lockdown was a bit, everybody was like, when loads of people got furloughed and stuff, and everyone kind of went on like, oh, we're going to go for a walk every day and we're going to really try and like stay active. And then like, as it's gone on, like for me anyway, it's just like, just
hibernate.
Yeah.
So many things are hibernating. We've got to take their lead.
Yeah.
Follow their lead. You see, I've been with my 2-year-olds. I've been making this like really dumb joke of like, well, we decided that we'd go into lockdown with our 2-year-old, we let her into the bubble. We were thinking about not, but we let her in. But like basically it's been like such a trip to be sort of so intense in that way that like, yeah, even baking with her.
What have you guys been baking? Because certainly like going back to the start of the first lockdown, so many people I know would be like sending me pictures of like, look what I've baked, like thinking, well, she's a baker, she'll be into that. And I just felt like they were personally shaming me because I have not baked anything the whole time.
I feel like you've baked so much, you've earned the right to not have to, but you don't need to learn.
No,
whereas everyone else, they've got to catch up. The only thing I've really learned, and my problem is mostly I'm baking gluten-free, which is like harder and worse. So, but the only thing I've learned is scones. I can make scones. I had no idea. I felt like for years that a scone was a luxury item made only by sophisticated chefs. And then like to find out, basically you can have the idea for a scone and a scone in 30 minutes. I could get from brain to table, 30 minutes, whip it up. And it's so simple. And it really, really gave me great pride. But then after a while, I was like, I don't need any more of these rubbery gluten-free scones. I've tried to do a lot of things. I baked gingerbread with my daughter over Christmas. I try a lot of things. And I would say I succeed no things. I enjoy a lot of things. Yeah, it must be a funny thing, like, because you guys are bakers from a family of bakers. Like, do you feel a bit like there's always too much pressure on you in a personal capacity to bake?
No.
There's no pressure to bake because no one wants to eat what I've baked. They just want me to bring fudge donuts to the party.
And do they feel a bit like you get the credit anyway, a bit?
Yeah, like, if there's like a fundraiser or something, and for school or whatever, like this is a bad example for me because I don't have children, but where you're everybody has to bring some cupcakes or whatever, and there's that pressure on everyone to you have to make your own. You can't just go and buy cupcakes, whereas there's never that pressure on us because everyone's like, but it's fine, you can just bring
yours are actually good, so you should bring those.
Yeah. And also we never really baked growing up, did we? Because there was just no need to, because like dad could always just bring
so like I can't imagine he'd be like, well, I've just spent however long working, now I'm going to go back and do a bit more of it for leisure.
Yeah
totally. It's like how my daughter never gets any stand-up comedy performances.
Yeah
Obviously you can't do live comedy, but I see you've done online live comedy? What's it like?
Yeah, I've been doing lots of Zooms. Do you know what? It's really varied. Sometimes you come away and you think, wow, we all bonded and connected and it was a great gig and that felt like a real gig. And other times you're like, what am I doing? Like, I've done it where, and also, if you're on like a mixed bill gig, what happens is there'll be people there who just not only aren't interested in you, but actively didn't know you were on and don't like you, right? So then they'll be the first comedian. You'll watch them on their little screen because you can see everyone if you want, and they'll be like, ha 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 ha. And then I've genuinely had it with people like, and now Josie Long, and then I come on the screen and I see people in their houses like leaving, go to the kitchen. Oh, it's brutal. And so it's like worse than live because at least live you can kind of talk to people, reason it out, and you're in one room, so it's easier to connect. But like when you just see people in their own homes in a worse state than if you weren't there, and you're like, I've made this worse for you, me. But yeah, on the whole, it is fun, but like it doesn't beat for me the atmosphere of like in the flesh and the one-offness of it. And also on stage, sometimes I like to joke about the guillotine, for example, and I just don't feel like it's right to do that online. I feel like online lasts forever and is willfully taken out of context, and I would never ever want to. I don't want to create controversy amongst sort of the far right or whatever. I'd rather just have a fun time. In March last year, I was on tour and it gradually became clear what was unfolding. And 2 weeks before we locked down, so kind of the 8th or 9th of March, the Melbourne Festival that I was planning to go to on like the 20th of March was cancelled. And when that happened, I was like, what? That's been cancelled? Oh my God. And lots of people were saying, no, it's going to be fine. And I was thinking, well, it can't be because like I've just lost 2 months of work like that, and I've lost this chance to do that. And that's big. It's not it's never ever been cancelled in its history. And so basically then there was this week where I was touring and I was thinking I shouldn't be touring. And my last gig before I stopped, which was still a week before the lockdown happened anyway, but I was like, I can't do this anymore, was in Greenwich. And I was really excited about it because it was near the end of my tour and it was a really big gig and it had sold out. And I was thinking, this will be such a lovely way to end the tour. But then when I got there, even though it was sold out, only half the people had come. And I think wisely, but at the time it was very confusing for us because we were like literally being told that we had to go ahead and that we shouldn't and that we must, like double conflicting advice. And so being on stage, it was so odd because it was like a haunted house or something. Yeah. It was like haunted by all the people who weren't there, and like the feeling of like, what are we all doing? Is this a bad idea? But like I say, like I stopped gigging a week before because I was thinking like, this is wild. But I saw there was like stadium gigs the day before lockdown and stuff like that would be like, what? Now everyone knows the risk.
I know. And now the thought of being in a stadium at all is just like, yeah. What?
And also, I feel this is so minor, but I feel like now I've changed my attitude towards when I was before the pandemic. I would have been like, oh, well, I've got a cold and a cough, but I still have to go to work. And that would be like, if you got a cold and a cough, you'll give everyone a cold and a cough. Like, which it seems so basic, but I feel like it was not the culture before.
No. Yeah.
It was like, just troop on if you're sick.
Yeah, totally.
It's so hard to like be in this place and not talk about it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so weird. It feels like life feels like we're filming for like the montage of the start of a film about some sort of horrible apocalypse, doesn't it? Like stuff. Just some of the conversations you have now are so surreal.
Yeah. And yeah, I also think like, so me and my friends made a film which we were at the DCA watching, and it's about it's kind of about how the smallest details of life still go on in difficult times. And like, basically it's almost like no matter what's going on, you're still going to be thinking about how you had a plum and it wasn't very nice, or like how your friend hasn't texted you back, or, like even in the midst of everything, we're still just little animals trying to get on with our day. Yeah, I don't know. It makes me feel happier in some ways. Which have you guys ever seen? There's some videos, and I think they're called Cooking with Cade, CADE. It's
No.
it's a 2 or 3 year old boy, and he's cooking with his grandma, and all he wants is just to grab the entire block of butter and shove it in his mouth. And so, like, she'll be like, "So today, Cade, we're gonna make cupcakes or whatever," and she's like, "Remember, don't." And then she's so fast trying to stop him, and he's even faster. So she'll be like, "Right, we'll mix it," and he's just like, "Butter." And she like pulling his hand out of his face, and he's just shoving it back in. And that's very much been my experience trying to make cakes with my daughter.
Is that you stopping her or her stopping you?
It's 50-50.
Talking of children, there's one shouting at me, so I'm gonna just.
Oh, amazing! Yeah, I was going to say my daughter is obsessed with butter. Obsessed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So even for toast, like breakfast, I'll say, "What would you like for breakfast, darling? Do you want toast or porridge or pancakes?" And she'll go, "I want toast with butter. I want butter with toast." Like never anything else, just butter.
I wonder though, now you're in Scotland, if she might start saying butter.
Oh, well, also that's like what we have in common due to my like estuary butter.
Butter.
Nearly.
Growing up, Chloe and I were really, really close friends with 3 sisters that lived nearby, and the youngest one, she was so obsessed with butter. She was quite a few years younger than us, so we would get her a snack or whatever. You'd make her toast with butter, and she would lick it off, and then you would have to re-butter it for her. Like, just the thought of like buttering.
My daughter does that
again.
My daughter will say to me, "Oh, can I share your toast?" And I'm like, "Sure, you can share it." And then she'll take a perfectly good piece of toast and just lick all the toppings and then give it back to me. And I'm like, "Thanks. This is fine. I don't need this back."
Oh God. Hashtag child free.
Yeah, I honestly, this past year I've been looking at people without children in the home like, "Oh, fly, you free birds, fly."
Yeah, that's like at the start of lockdown when everyone got furloughed, it was like reminded me of an episode of Parks and Recreation, but the premise is the woman's like, "So you mean I have to have my children at home where I am?" Like, there's been a lot of chat about what is essential now and what isn't essential, and you know, while a fudge donut is not essential, there are things in our lives like cakes, for example, and books and comedians putting on online things that we all need so badly right now as just a distraction and a little
comfort as well.
Yeah,
comfort and joy. There we go. Like just little things to kind of make life worth living. There's a really good quote about there's 2 quotes. So one of them is, "The arts are not a way to make a living. They are a very humane way of making life more bearable." And I really like that. And then there's a quote from a Raymond Carver story, and it's a really sad story about like, oh God, it's just really sad about bereavement and stuff. But in it, they end up speaking to this baker, in fact, and the baker gives them like, I think he gives them some hot rolls, and he says, "Eating is a small good thing at a time like this." And I always think of that, like, it's such a, like, I don't know, it's true. It's always good to eat well with people you love. It's always good to, like, share something delicious. It's as important, isn't it? It's like nourishment.
yeah.
Okay, right. Am I allowed to eat it? Shall I go for it?
I should say that Josie is having a gluten-free fudge donut.
I am. And I have questions for you about it as well. But also I feel really weird eating in front of you like it's a YouTube video. Oh my God. Oh my God. So here's the thing. The fudge is very special to me. Because so I want to tell people listening that I've known you guys now, and this is actually quite scary, for nearly 12 years. Isn't that wild?
It was absolutely wild.
When I first met you guys, I came up for a fence thing in 2009. It was 29. No, was it 2010? No, 2009. And that's when I met you guys, and also when I discovered your delicious goods. Delicious baked goods. But it's the first time I came up to Fife as well, and like was just amazing, like so exciting. But so the fudge is like it's right there. It's so delicious. And that was when also, because I've had the non-gluten-free ones as well, even though I shouldn't, but I do. But it was delicious.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions, whether you could compare this to a real fudge donut.
So what I would say is this one definitely feels more like a cake.
Yeah.
Please discuss. It's a cake, right?
Yeah, that's because we can make a cake without gluten in the bakery. We can make the cupcakes, but in the bakery, because of the fryers, because they're used to fry the fudge donuts, we can't, like, we just don't feel confident that we could like get all the gluten out of them. So for the moment, it is a cake.
But it is beautiful. And also, it's the fudge. That's what makes it.
Fudge.
And the delicious creamy filling. But have you ever thought about buying a miniature deep fat fryer so you could make bespoke gluten-free donuts for a friend? Have you ever thought about this? Just for a friend, a happy friend. It's hard, I think. Being gluten-free is like annoying because bread and baked goods are the most delicious things in the world and are there to make us happy.
I feel like the gluten-free options are improving, but yeah, some of them are pretty ghastly.
So that's what I say about this cake actually is you would never know it's a gluten-free cake. It just tastes like a lovely cake. It's not like you're like, well, the texture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we just kind of, we're very cautious about taking these steps. Like we don't want to do something unless we can be really confident that in saying that's gluten-free, because we've got a couple of, managers that are celiac,
Yeah.
and then.
But that's a brutal day's work if you're a celiac baker.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cruel.
Yeah.
So cruel.
This sounds a bit weird. Like I've got friends that are celiac, but
but it's good to know. I think it's really
but also
important.
it's like it's really good because it makes it really personal. So it's like, okay, we're not just gonna put this product out. It's like, no, because that could personally affect this person that I know and care about. And
that's lovely. And it's important as well. Like, yeah, my friend Doug, who so he's a celiac. I don't know, I should get a celiac screen, but I almost prefer to live in this state of perpetual ignorance. But he's so on it. He knows, like, and it's traced things as well. It's astonishing to me.
I think there's a real element of personal responsibility, like with us, because it's a family business. Like we're not gonna put our name on something that, although funnily enough, not our name, but yeah, like I would hate, like, for instance, how awful would it be for like later on today you to like text us and be like, guys, I'm really not feeling well. I know I said that didn't taste like a gluten-free cake, but are you sure?
I had that once when my daughter was really young. I ordered a sandwich and it was gluten-free and I was like, oh, this is so great. And by mistake, she just gave me normal sourdough. And it was a really lovely half hour or whatever, because I was eating it thinking, this is the best gluten-free sourdough I've ever had in my life. I'm going to come back here every day. And then I was like, yes, the catch was, it was just delicious bread. That's the catch. I also wanted, I don't know if you even mind me discussing this on the podcast, but I wanted to remember that you guys took me water skiing and it was one of the coolest days of my life. And that also, do you remember when I first tried to do it, I didn't realize that if you fall down on your face, you shouldn't keep a hold of the bar. And I just clung onto it for dear life.
Josie was like waterboarding herself behind the boat. We're all screaming, let go, let go.
And I was like, I can't let go.
For so long. And then you came up and you were like, because we took quite a few people water skiing that had never ever water skied before, and like some of them didn't react well at all, and I won't name names. So like there was that moment where I think it was Ben and Ronan and I, our brothers, and we kind of looked at each other like, oh God, like what's what's she gonna be like? And we sort of paddled back to the board and to the boat, and you were fine, but
We did have snacks from the bakery that day as well.
almost
Bringing it
certainly.
back onto theme. There you go.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
The cakes. But yeah, I always think of that. I think of that so often because it was such a fun day. And like when I think about you guys, I'm like, what a cool gang they are. What a cool gang.
It was so much fun not being up to water ski in such a long time. But hey, you're close now. We could meet you there.
Oh my God, my live stream. I'm so close to learning to drive. I've been trying forever. And then just before the lockdown hit in October, I had my test set for something like the 27th. And then that was the day of the lockdown. It was like so brutal. They were like, no. And so when I've learned to drive, that's my first thing is I can't wait to drive around parts of Scotland that aren't quite as accessible by train and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
When lockdown is over, I wondered who the first person you want to meet in real life for cake would be.
Oh. Well, do you know what? I hope it isn't too cheesy, but I really can't wait to go down and see my parents. I haven't seen them for months and months, and I just would love it. I'd love to be with my mum or my dad and be sort of slightly stressed out for no reason. That would be my dream, like be with my mum and be a bit impatient with her for no reason, like for nothing she's done. Just like, oh yes, I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'd love to have so my mum is very sweet because my mum has sugar, like diabetes, type 2 stuff. So she really shouldn't have stuff like that. But she's so funny because she'll be like, no, I can't eat anything like that. And then she'll be like, I'm just having one piece of it. I'm just having one. One piece doesn't make a difference. But I'm like, do you know what? You come this far.
Our granddad was a bit like that. I think he had this idea in his head that if he was just sampling a product, it didn't count.
Well, it's like wine tasting. You don't get drunk.
Yeah. It's market research. It doesn't count. There's no calories. It's no sugar.
No calories whatsoever. It's not official. It's not officially consumed.
Not official sugar.
How about you guys? What's your who are you thinking of?
Yeah, we're really lucky in that we work with both of our parents.
Oh yeah.
So like it's been really strange because we've been able to see what we have 2 brothers, one of whom works in the business and one of whom doesn't. So Ronan we haven't seen at all. We saw him, he came up over for a funeral, and apart from that I've seen Ronan once, so that was really tough.
Yeah.
But we see our family all the time, but it's such a strange thing because it isn't like seeing your parents. So like we only see each other at work and talk about work. And we in March, I remember was it March or April when we had to close our shops, and so Chloe, myself, Ben and our dad went to my dad's house to sit like at opposite corners of the room, and we all just sat there and cried and decided to like close our bakeries for the first time since 1919, and it was the most emotional decision I think we've ever had to make.
Weird to see our parents all the time but not like hug them, or
not being able to hug them.
Yeah. As you say, not do anything normal, like not sit and have lunch together or do anything normal.
Yeah, and also it's very weird because like exactly. I actually not adding to it. I was just about to say the same thing you'd said. It is so weird. It's so unusual to have your like interactions with people that you love like that compartmentalized in that way. That's like that's hard. What's the business doing at the minute? Is it doing deliveries and stuff?
Yeah, it's doing a bit of both. So our shops are open for takeaway, and then
good.
doing like a lot of home deliveries like locally as well.
Oh, that's good. Did I tell you guys that I saw you when I was in Dundee, but it was like the thrill of my trip to Dundee to go to Fisher and Donaldson and be like, here I am. Nice. I loved it.
What did you get?
I think I got gluten-free fudge donut,
Nice.
I think. I'm fairly certain I did. And I think I also got gluten-full things as well for Doug. Because at the time Doug was not diagnosed, so got him a lot. I think I gave my baby no, she was only 6 months, so I wouldn't have. Now she's 2.5, she can handle anything. But back then she could basically just handle fruit puree. That's all she had. Fruit and veggie puree, the dream.
Maybe we need to start a different video blog that's like, remember that? Do you remember back when people thought that like wasting things was fun, and there was that YouTube channel and it was just called Will It Blend?
I do remember that.
The guy would like blend iPhones and stuff.
Yes, and you could do that, but it would be good because you'd know they'd sort of blend.
Yeah, it'd be like French fancy. Will it blend?
I love that you got your cake as well. I love a
Yeah.
French fancy.
That if I eat that, it will be the second one that I've eaten today.
Can I just say, I was very proud of myself. Oh, what have you got?
Pancake with loads of butter.
Oh,
Pancake week for me.
yeah. One day's not.
It's
Come
not-
on, roll it out. Oh yeah, that was it. I finished the donut, I felt like in about 30 seconds. And I was both proud and also like, this is recorded. People are going to see how quickly you demolish this. They're going to know that you just went, oh. It's so delicious.
We could put it in slow motion. That would.
Yeah, I think that would be good for my dignity, I think.
This podcast like seemed like a great idea, and as you say, like cake brings people joy, so it's like a nice thing. Have a little chat, eat some cake, but at the same time, forgot about the part where someone has to sit and eat cake on
In front of people. But what you should do is you should time it so that the second somebody's got their mouth will be like, and now tell me about the
When you go to the dentist and just and like, so how are you?
yeah, why? Oh.
Well, I have a cake related question,
Okay.
which is something that I find like I'm curious about different people. Like when you were growing up, did your like mom or dad like bake you? Was it like a thing that you got like a baked birthday cake?
Oh, so my mum did bake quite a lot. And my mum is a very experimental cook, and often the experiments were successful in their own way. And she used to often bake cakes that were liquid in the middle, right? Undercooked, I guess. Like,
Oh, not on purpose.
No, not on purpose. But honestly, I used to love them.
Mm.
Like love. I don't know, like eggy soup. I don't know what that is in the middle. But I really have a fond memory of my mum's cooking, my mum's baking, as being like very rough around the edges, but like still delicious. And we used to do the classic thing of like, she would let me lick the spoon and lick the bottom of the bowl. And I do remember always thinking that raw cake dough was like nicer than anything in the world.
Yeah.
Don't they? My two are obsessed with it. Like you've not even put like the mix into like the cupcake cases, and they're like, "Come here, look at you."
Oh,
That's so funny.
oh, it must be so cute to be baking with them, especially like, are you older? And how old are they? Are they 5?
4 and 2.
She's 4. Is it like once, because my daughter's 2 and like, well, she's nearly 3, but I do feel like she's not quite at the stage where she's like, okay, let's do this big activity together. You know, she's a little bit more like, yes, we'll do it. No, I put it on the ground.
I don't know what age she was, but whenever it was raining, I must have been on maternity leave, and I would take the 2 children to the bakery, and then whatever cake Jade was making, she would set up like a little station of icing and stuff next to her. And I would try and get the baby off to sleep while the older one was like
Just
making
having
cake.
fun.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
like
so nice.
Like, this one's for Uncle Sean, and it would just be like a little bit of cake and then just like so much icing and sweets.
Because I would get her like, I would be making some sort of actual like sugar figure or something, so I would just give her lumps of icing and be like, it's Play-Doh, you know. And I've got little rolling pins for doing sugar flowers, so you could give her like the little things and then give her like a cutter so she could cut a star out or whatever. But Robin's the same with painting. She doesn't like things to be separate, so she'll just cut a star out and then she'll just smush it onto something, and then she'll cut a heart out and smush that on as well. And then but yeah, and I did the same with Rory when our nephew, when he was younger as well. But then there is a very like, it comes to an abrupt stop the day that they realize that it's not Play-Doh and that it is just sugar,
and then they're like,
and that's it. You just can't do it anymore.
I feel like my daughter would be like that already. Like she's always just been so treats focused. And I try really hard to keep saying to myself, you're in charge of what you feed your daughter, and we don't have to listen to the pressure for treats. But it's like she could recognize chocolate bars when she had never eaten a chocolate bar in her entire life.
Yeah.
How?
Like
How?
we would be at Jade's, we would go away to the kitchen and sneakily eat chocolate chip cookies. And then like you'd walk in, you'd be in the other side of the room and she'd be like, you like smell chocolate. And you're like, never really had chocolate. How do you know?
But my daughter, she just knows, like, it's the exact same thing. I'll come in the room and she'll go, what are you eating? You know. And I feel bad, but I feel like I'm an adult. I can make these decisions for myself. You, my love, you are having a chopped up pear, which is very nice as well.
I was going to ask if you want to eat more cake, but I think you maybe ate all the cake.
I've eaten all the cakes.
Did you share it?
I did give one to my partner.
Okay, that's fair enough.
So basically, I always want to eat more. It's delicious. It is so nice. And like, yeah, I love, like, when I think about the fence events as well, I feel like it's always mixed in with like having snacks from Fisher and Donaldson as well. So it's like really nice. Yeah. We've got a special place in my heart.
A spinach roll and fudge donut.
And then going and having a dance.
Yeah, or sitting in the back of the bakery van.
That was incredible as well.
That was good.
Do you think it's going to be weird going back to like live gigs, and like have you got stuff coming up to fill that gap before that's the thing again?
Yeah, I have. I'm doing writing. I'm trying to get various things off the ground, and I'm doing a lot of like online stuff. I think it's going to be really exciting when stuff happens again. I think if anything, people might be a bit mad. Like they might just be a bit manic and overexcited. But I remember I did a couple of live gigs in October when we were allowed in London, and the atmosphere was quite electric, you know. Well, it was weird. Sometimes it was unusual. But being on stage, sometimes I was like, I felt unleashed, you know. I felt so kind of free and excited. And so I really look forward to it, you know. And I think, honestly, even if people hate it, I'll just be thrilled. I'll just be like, you're hating this. Here we all are. You think I'm terrible. And I think, fuck it, that would be better than not. Yeah, I was saying this the other week that I'm really looking forward to dying on my house. Like doing really badly, I think will be hilarious fun. So yeah, I do hope. I mean, obviously it's really hard, and I worry because a lot of venues are struggling so much and will continue to struggle, and a lot of performers, and like it's just so hard to be like, right, try and reconfigure your life so you can do different work to what you normally do for over a year and survive. Like that's really hard. But I also do think that when it comes back, there's going to be an appetite for performance and an appetite for performers like never before, and I do think that could be wonderful. I hope.
I feel just like we're just so desperate to
enjoy
something. Like
yeah, I definitely had a gig like that in London in the little opening back up period where I really felt like the crowd were just like, anything you say is good and we're here. And I was like, great. And so long may that last, honestly. I want if people could just be overly generous for no reason. I'm so into it.
I think we have like similar sort of jobs. Like we get to see people enjoy good cake and you get to make people laugh.
It's so lovely. Like I think about that quite a lot, about how it's actually really lucky because you know, it must be hard to be sort of someone, I don't know, who only interacts with like the harder parts of human nature or the harder parts of life. And like I feel really glad that like, yeah, we get to do the fun bits.
Yeah, I often, if I'm having a really stressful day, like I often have to remind myself like of the consequences. You know, I'm not a surgeon. If I mess up my job, no one's gonna die. Like the worst thing that's gonna happen is someone's not gonna get a cake when they thought they were gonna get a cake. So
yeah, exactly. Like don't get me wrong, it's still sad and it's a shame, but I have the exact same feeling of like, Yeah, I don't have life and death responsibility. Worst thing is someone will be a bit bored. Maybe they'll read their phone. Okay, that's fine. They might read something interesting. Oh, that's so good. None of us are harming anyone. So there we go.
Get the gluten wrong.
Yeah, unless you're sending the gluten false.
Yeah, we'll check back in with you later tonight.
Oh, guys, thanks for chatting to me. It's really nice.
Well, thank you
Thanks for coming.
We look forward to you coming to Fife and having.
Oh my God, me too. I feel like by the summer we'll be able to go to Fife. Gotta be.
Right, we'll let you get back to work. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, thank you for thinking of me. And like, I hope it was all right. And I'll see you in real life soon. I really hope. It'll be so nice. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.